We have got to talk about those shaky leaf hints over at Ancestry.com. Should you or should you not click on one? Well, in this video, I'm going to be sharing my thoughts and tips on how to manage those shaky leaf hints that can pop up and are waving at you from your family tree. If we haven't met before, I'm Lisa, genealogy researcher and author, whose YouTube channel here is designed to help you find your ancestors, grow your family tree, but not get overwhelmed in the process. So if that sounds like your cup of tea, you're in the right place. Now, I recently had dinner with friends, and well, as usual, the conversation came around to talk of genealogy. Now, they had both done their genealogy family trees using Ancestry and the other databases that are out there. But one of the things that came up is that as they were building their family trees on Ancestry, they were really overwhelmed by all those little shaky leaf hints that kept popping up. They were telling me that they were overwhelmed by it because they felt like they should do something with them right then. But when they would click through the hints, they really weren't necessarily sure, did it actually match? So they were a little overwhelmed because there was a sheer number of those shaky leaf hints. So in short, they were overwhelmed and they were a bit confused about those. So let's talk about what is that shaky leaf. Now, that shaky leaf hint that I'm talking about is a feature at Ancestry.com that shows up when you build your family tree. You'll see sometimes beside the name, a little green leaf will pop up. Now, what that is Ancestry saying, hey, we've looked at what you have on your tree. We know what we have in our records. These are some hints that we think might match your research. These are individual records or other family trees that might have some information in them that are going to help you. Now, if you remember nothing else from this entire video, I need you to remember this. Those shaky leaves that you're seeing, those are hints. They are not facts. They are just hints or suggestions. They are not a guarantee that if you click on that shaky leaf hint and it takes you to a record to suggest that maybe it matches your ancestor in your tree, that is not a guarantee that that is an exact match. You need to do, as your researcher, you have to do your due diligence and evaluate that record and not accept it as fact until you have done so. Those hints that Ancestry is providing, they're there to give us clues to follow up on. So treat that shaky green leaf hint in your family tree at Ancestry as just that, a clue, a tool in your genealogy toolbox. Because if you automatically accept that hint into your family tree, you run a very high risk of attaching the wrong record or the wrong person to your family tree, and then you're going to need to do a large pruning of that family tree in the future. And nobody wants to be pruning that family tree if they don't have to. Now, let me know in the comments below. I'm curious, have you used those shaky leaf hints before, and did you find them helpful, or were they more distracting to you? Now, I'm going to hop over to my computer now and show you how I evaluate those shaky green leaf hints in my own family tree so that you can have a better idea of how to handle them for your tree and not get the wrong information attached to your ancestor.
So here we are over at an ancestry tree that I have set up for the Harwood family. This is a sample that I've set up for you, and you can see all the little green leaves that are there. Now, if I click on those, it will take me to the hints for that individual. So let's take a look at George Harwood, and I'm going to click on that little green hint. I have 13 hints for him. That's a lot of hints. Okay, so now we're over here on the hints for George. Now, typically when I'm looking at these hints at Ancestry, as I kind of ignore the Ancestry trees. I'm gonna look at that last because I'm usually looking for more records. Now, when I scroll through, what I see as matches to other people's trees actually have some information that I've actually uploaded. So I'm going to kind of skip all of that for now. And what I'm looking at are the records. And I came across, as I went through, I'm looking for consistencies. Does everything seem to match? This is a family. I know where in North Carolina they were at. And I know he was born in 1791. He died around 1870, 1871. So I'm kind of looking to see, does all of this kind of match up? You know, he's in the right part of North Carolina. Here he is in Wake County, North Carolina, Moore County. This is close. I know that this is the right guy. So these actually look really good, and I could look at. But there was one outlier a little back up. If I back up a little bit, and that's this U.S. directories right here, this collection from the directories, G.W. Harwood and Margaret M. Harwood. Well, yes, my George did have a second wife named Margaret, but something about this looks a little odd to me. For some reason, it just wasn't sitting quite right. Now, she's using initials, and what I find when I come over here, I immediately know this is not my guy. Okay, this is in 1921, and both George died in 1870s. Margaret, his second wife, was not living at this time period either. So I know that this is not correct for him. So again, Ancestry is just doing the best that it can using its algorithm and looking at what I already have in the tree to say, hey, have you considered that this record might be pertinent to your research? And in this case, I've looked at it. I can say no. And if I need to, I can actually click further in, or I can just click no. And then what it will do is typically say, great, we're just going to ignore that hint. But it is going to ask me why I ignored it. And I like to fill this out because it helps tell Ancestry's algorithm that, hey, okay, the dates are wrong. So it was too late, and it just helps refine any future hints or any future searches I might do. So I like to do that. So that's how I use the hints that I have here at Ancestry. Now I want to show you one other type of hint. It's still the shaky, the little green leaf hint here at Ancestry. But if you notice further out on this particular example that I have for a family tree, I have William Harwood. He has the leaf, but it also has, Ancestry is telling me we have a potential father. So it doesn't necessarily have a leaf on it, but he says we've got a potential father. This is a hint. Again, this is a hint. This is not guaranteed. So if I click on it, it says, we think we found a father for William Harwood. Let's review those details. So I pull up the details and I can look. They think that his father they're suggesting that the father might be Joseph. And these are his dates from Virginia. He was died in Edgecombe County, North Carolina. Why did they think that? Well, there are other records. These are the other records that I could check out and that I would want to peruse. I can tell you right away, the Netherlands record would not be correct. And that also tells me where they're pulling the tree from or where they're pulling this information from. So again, is Joseph definitely the father of William? No, he is not. This is not a fact. This is a potential father and a potential resource for me, a potential avenue of research for me to now pursue. And it's a good one. So that would be how I would use these hints. Again, I am never going to put him directly into my tree until I have fully evaluated to determine if he is the father of William or not. So that's the point here, guys, is that these leaves, these are hints. These are not facts. They are hints to help you with your research and to give you new avenues of research to pursue.
Okay, I hope you found that helpful and that now you have more confidence when it comes to clicking on those shaky green leaf hints and evaluating those hints to whether they really are going to be part of your family tree or if they are just a clue that did not pan out. Now learn more about other genealogy resources and tools that you can use in your own genealogy research in the video on your screen now.